He knew 2 foreign technical languages, multiple spoken languages, all self-taught. He was able to identify chemicals like by taste or smell. He had all of the formulas in the quantitative chemistry book memorized. That was what the students were using, and so they were able to go to Dr. Sam, that's what they called him, for any help they needed with homework or prepping for exams or conducting their own research. Hi, I'm Alyssa Dobbs-Langford. I'm a first-year student at the University of Alabama. I'm a theater major on the Create Path to the MBA, and I work at the Gorgas House Museum. Sam Esme was a janitor at the University of Alabama. He was employed by the chemistry department in 1911, and that was sort of the main information I had about him with the Natural History Museum doing their exhibit on Jefferson Davis Jackson. We ended up getting into contact with people who knew about Sam Esme and were curious as to what we were doing to honor him. That same week, I went to Hool and started just looking for anything about him. In going to Hool, one thing that we did have was James B. Sellers had a second volume of his history of the University of Alabama that he died before he could publish. And he had a chapter on the Department of Chemistry and had like 2-3 paragraphs pertaining to Sam Esme. And so from that, we were able to know that he was written about in the Catalyzer, which was a student publication, and also in Service Magazine with the Tuskegee Institute. And so that was a good jumping off point to be able to find more information about him, and then also realizing that he wasn't going to be in articles as Sam Esme, but as Sam May helped narrow the search a lot. Found through the Gender and Race Studies Department's website, they had some historically Black newspapers, and so I was able to go through those to find more information once I knew that the Tuskegee Institute had written about Sam. Just testing out different phrases related to janitor and chemist in Alabama, I was able to get more information on him and got over 30 articles from newspapers across the country talking about this janitor. I was able to talk to several of his family members. I actually worked to give just a list of like the resources I used in finding more information on him to one of his granddaughters. A lot of family members actually came in with file folders of articles they had printed out about him, and so a lot of the articles they had are actually included in the exhibit, but then also we had articles included that they didn't have, and so that was really exciting. In 1911, when he came to the University of Alabama, he had previously been at the Tuskegee Institute and sort of watching as George Washington Carver was doing work in chemistry labs, and so he was employed by the chemistry department here. And in 1912, he went and asked one of the instructors during their lunch hours if he could learn a little something about chemistry. And then from there, he was able to just get whatever help he needed, but he was mostly self-taught. A lot of the articles talk about how he studied under Dean Lloyd, but it wasn't direct studies in the way that you would think of it. He was never in a classroom. He just had the books and was able to go ask any questions as he had them. He was called in a lot of newspapers like something of an inventor. It would be said that he helped with research, but then others would detail like he discovered 25 products, or he had invented batteries and hot water heaters, and there was a hand bleach that he was working on when he died. He made all these things and all these inventions and was able to get recognition for it at a time where there were publications still questioning whether or not he could read. In 1936, we know we have all this work that he did with fibers. The connection to Mildred Warner here, it was her paper company that moved to Tuscaloosa that gave him the idea to start working with paper products. He was using okra and gourds and agave, and then also invasive plants like kudzu, a variety of plants that would have been like in his own backyard to develop these products. But a lot of papers, especially in Alabama and even areas of North Alabama that were known for their views on racial politics at the time, were talking about how his work was going to contribute to the economic development of the South, because okra and all of these other plants were Alabama natives, or at least like prominent in Alabama. Obviously kudzu was invasive. There was like the silk imitation fabric he made with okra that was going to be cheaper to make, and then also being made in Alabama with Alabama resources and just promoting our economy over others. He died in 1941. At his funeral, there was a lot of coverage of how well beloved he was by everyone who knew him. Students, community members, obviously because of segregation at the time, it was really noteworthy and mentioned in every single article how Black people and white people thought very highly of him, and that he was just sort of able to occupy this place of being just loved and admired and respected by everybody, and that it was actually through the students and professors of the chemistry department that we're able to know so much about him. Almost everything I have is either quotes from students who went to him for questions with their research, students who helped display his research actually at the inaugural chemistry days, or alumni who were advocating for him to be recognized better by the university. And so I think it really says something that the students were sort of leading the charge on this man who, obviously a black man in the 1930s, with everything going on in the South as far as racial politics, that this was happening at the University of Alabama.